Investing isn't about blindly chasing the biggest number. It's about understanding why your money's working for you and what the bigger picture actually is. For most people, the bigger picture is getting to a point where work is now optional. Not necessarily stopping work, just knowing that you don't have to. Now, whether you plan to work forever, as I do because I love what I do, or you're looking to hit the exits as soon as you're able to. Getting to this point changes everything. And that's one of my biggest goals, helping people get there. So instead of starting with markets or what to invest in, let's zoom out. In this video, I'll show you the exact framework that I like to use when helping someone figure out when can work become optional for me, and how to pressure test that plan to see if it holds up. I'm Steve Gitter, and you're watching my Financial Flywheel. So it really comes down to a simple process. And what you do, as I mentioned, you work in reverse. That's not starting with a specific account balance or return that you need to get there. The first order of business is figuring out exactly how much money you need to spend every single month to maintain your lifestyle the way that it is now. And this is what I always tell people, the first order of business is getting crystal clear on how much money you're spending every single month. And what I mean by that is, do you pay rent or a mortgage, taxes, health insurance, life insurance, think car payments, do you like to go out to dinner, cell phone, streaming subscriptions, whatever the case may be, everyone's life is different. But what you need to do is sit down and figure out exactly how much money are you spending every single month. I always tell people to figure this number after taxes. When we go into in-depth financial planning, we can always lay the taxes on top of that so you see exactly how much money you need coming in pre-tax and how much you're spending after taxes. But the first thing you need to do is figure out, as I said, what are your monthly living expenses? And I want you to be not strict with this, but be more liberal with it. Give yourself a cushion, because the last thing you want to do is stop working and then pigeonhole yourself in the corner where you realize you can't do everything that you want to do. So figure out how much you're spending and then give yourself a little bit of a cushion on top of that. That's the first step. The second step is looking at any fixed income. When we talk about fixed income streams, this is your predictable, reliable income that's coming in every single month. Some people don't have any of this, and some people have a lot of different income streams that fall into this category. So what I'm talking about here is any pensions that you're getting if you're retired, or if you worked another job that gives you a pension now, any annuity payments, any rental properties that you do have, any business royalty payments that you have coming in. Of course, if you have a rental property, it might not be as guaranteed as, let's say, a pension or Social Security, but if you've had it for a long enough time, I'm sure you could estimate roughly how much you could expect to come in every single month from that. We want to look at our fixed income streams. We want to start with how much money we need to spend every single month, and then minus the fixed income streams. What is we know is reliably coming in on autopilot every single month. And then that gives us the third step. And this is very important. Once you go through the first two steps, you're gonna have one of two things. You're either going to have a surplus, which means that your fixed income streams cover all of your monthly living expenses. If you're at this point, congratulations, you won. You can stop right there. Anything you have invested is just gravy. But most people aren't gonna fall into that category. They're gonna have a gap or a deficit. And if there's a gap between how much you need to spend every single month and how much is automatically coming in, you need to know exactly how much you're going to withdraw from your investment accounts. That's when they come into the picture. That's the fourth step. Portfolio withdrawals. And that is pretty much how much money you need to withdraw every single month so you can make this math work. So when you add your portfolio withdrawals to your fixed income, is going to equal your monthly expenses. The key here, and I always say this to people, is to make sure that you're not withdrawing too much money from your investment accounts every single month or every single year. A lot of people know about the 4% rule that came around in the 90s. That's not cut and dry. It's actually, for most people, turns out to be much higher than that. But you need to figure out how much money I need to withdraw from my investment accounts every single month to make your life work. So this is the simple framework that we use, okay? And you could apply this to your own financial situation. We're more than happy to help walk you through it as well. Again, this is a 10,000-foot view. There's a lot of details and figuring that goes into when you're coming up with a specific game plan or financial plan, income plan, that we're not going to cover in the video today. But this is kind of how you should be thinking about your overall financial situation. How much money do I need to spend every single month? How much do I know is automatically coming in, if any? And then does that cover it? Or do I have to look at my portfolio and make up the difference so I could, again, make work optional? Whether you decide to stop working or you want to keep working, knowing that work is now on your terms is very powerful. Once we finish this, there's one very important step that we need to do. We need to stress test that. This is not about predicting, it's just about stress testing your plan against real life to see how it holds up. What if markets take a drop and are down the first year that you decide to retire? What if you have some increased expenses that pop up out of the blue? What about sequence of returns, which is how the market's going to perform each year for the next 15, 20, 30 years? Because no one could predict exactly what returns are going to come in what order. So running the plan through these scenarios, and we actually stress tested against 1,000 different market scenarios of how things could play out. And after you run these tests, all it does is give you the likelihood, the probability that you might have to adjust your spending down the line in the future. But if your plan holds up for a big majority of these stress tests, you're in pretty good shape. It just simply means you're not relying on perfect conditions for your plan to be successful. And I say this all the time to clients. It's one thing for me to help you do all the math and for me to have confidence in what I'm seeing, but it means absolutely nothing if you don't have confidence in your plan. And I think when you take the time to run through this process, especially number one, a lot of people put off doing this, or I talk to them and they say they're going to do it and 6 months later, they still didn't do it. Sit down with a pen and a paper and really figure out, look back over the past 12 months, how much money did you spend every single month? Because again, when we retire or know that we don't have to work, we want to make sure that we don't have to cut our lifestyle back. And now at this point, you can chase a number, but you're not doing it blindly. You're doing it with a process behind it that makes sense. And this process is what turns investing into a tool that you could use for your benefit.